Hello and welcome to this short presentation regarding the new Google Search Generative Experience, which is coming to you in 2024. My name is Baylis and I run a small SEO agency called Serendipity Online Marketing Limited based near Hereford. Let's just look about how Google looks now. If you type in something like why is popcorn associated with movies or any other question, you will normally see at the top of the screen something called a featured snippet. This is very useful as it's the very first thing that people see when they are looking for any information, and there is a link there you can see that takes the person to the website. This means that traffic can be gained from this important listing. Underneath it, there's something called People Also Ask. These are related questions, and again, if you pressed on the down button here, you would actually see an answer to the question with a link to a website that you could get further information from. Underneath that, you see some results and then some videos, and underneath that, some other answers to the same question. All of which, as you can see, have a link back to a website. But it is the loss of the People Also Ask that is the real problem that some SEO agencies are highlighting. And this is why, because as you'll see on the screen, People Also Ask is gone. The feature snippet also has been removed, all being replaced with a section generated by the Google AI engine. The videos have been moved to the top right as well. This also could include articles done by thought leaders or whatever Google think is a good thing to list. But other answers still remain, and in fact there will be a vacuum created by the loss of People Also Ask. So it isn't the end of the world, and things can be done to ensure that traffic is maintained in 2024. Let's look at the other changes. Apart from the loss of People Also Ask, which is undoubtedly the biggest one and why some agencies are predicting a traffic loss of 40%, there are other changes taking place. The power of the backlink, that's a link from a website to another, is being reduced, and other things are coming in to make SEO more interesting in 2024. But let's look at this traffic loss figure first. Why are some agencies saying that a website is going to lose 40% of its traffic? Simply because looking at a tool like SEMrush, they can see that some websites do indeed have a good listing, a good position for phrases with a position type of People Also Ask. But if I look at one of my customers to do with event management, you can see that they don't have any People Also Ask listings. Therefore, they can't lose any traffic from it. This one, to do with director disqualification, they do have some, about 10% of the traffic here could be lost if the listings in pink are removed. But go on to another one, and as we can see, their potential loss is 47%. Predicted traffic loss based upon the term and the fact that it's come from a People Also Ask listing, which, as we've seen, will disappear. Good variation there, but you could see why some agencies are predicting this 40% loss. But is that really the case? Because People Also Ask listings have an answer, and some people don't need to go any further than simply look at the answer. The branding effect, the loss of the listing will be noticed, but that's not a click, something totally different. And we can see that is going to be lost. But is a click going to be lost? If we check to see what search terms have actually brought people into a website, which we can do by looking at Google Search Console, we can cross-reference the search terms that are bringing traffic in with the fact if there are People Also Ask listing or not. In this particular customer, we can see that only 8% is lost, that being 24 clicks in total, if the People Also Ask listing is removed, which is a far cry from the 47% on the first calculation. But there's a better way still. If we then go back to the Google Search Console and we find out which key phrases are bringing them in traffic, which is the best way we can do it at the moment, and then see whether the ranking for those particular search terms actually is a people also ask listing on Google, we can see and confirm they would have lost traffic. In this particular case, there was no keyword phrase that had a people also ask listing there. So that means that they can't be losing traffic. They've got their listings through other ways, images, maps, various things, but they haven't been lost through that, or won't be lost through that of having the people also ask removed. What can we get from this? Well, we can conclude that there is going to be a change, because the way Google calculating or deciding who to list is changing in other ways, but it's not going to be around 40%, I don't believe. Some websites are going to be affected more than others, and some, like Katobi, which is getting an estimated 57% of their traffic through people also ask, could be affected more than others. So I wouldn't panic at the moment. I would just bear it in mind and review the other points of change to make sure that you're not going to get lost in the rush. So what are the changes? There's 4 that really need to be looked at carefully. We know that backlinks are going to be less powerful. We also know that brand awareness is going to become more powerful, and that Google will be carrying out some very detailed checks on the content of any website, and that the way that the AI operates and tests have proven that the titles and meta descriptions for pages will need to be more carefully constructed, as they are a major way of the AI working out what's what. When we come to the term brand awareness, we have to be aware that there isn't a way of exactly knowing what Google are talking about. But we do and can conclude that the mentions in social media of a brand or product has a definite effect on this. And therefore, having anything more listings in social media is going to be important. And then there's the issue of the content, quality of the content. Google has always looked at the way people interact with websites. And one of the strongest singles it uses, and using us to do this, is to see how users react with a website. So when they have a list of websites people can see for any particular search phrase, if they click onto that website and then come back to the listings very quickly, pogoing back, then Google will conclude that that website was not a good match for that search term. And if it happens too often, they will degrade that particular page for that search term, the listing, and they could also degrade the entire website if the users tell Google that the quality is poor overall. But let's look at those content checks in greater detail. They're known in the trade as EAT with 2 E's, and they consist of experience, expertise, authority and trust. All of these need to be demonstrated to Google. And even though it may seem that trust is just one of 4, all of them actually are used by Google to really decide whether they're going to trust a page or not. The first of these is a relatively new one, and it's called experience. It's going to become a major factor in 2024, as it is a way that Google uses to work out whether the content that they're looking at has been written by an AI or by a human, because AIs at the moment can't really talk about the experience they've had in doing anything, because they haven't got any, and they're only just eating other people's words in essence. So do put in details of the experience that you've got in solving a problem, experience in using a product, because this is the way that Google will work out whether basically it's been written by a human and whether they should trust it more. And then we have the issue of expertise. Here Google is looking for proof that the person who's written the article has the necessary credentials, life experience or academic, whichever. And in other words, you have to tell Google why your words are worth reading and why your point of view is worth consideration. And this is why it is important to include a biography of the author on any articles, how-to advice. And this is there is something called a bio trick that has been developed by myself and a link building expert, which I can go into greater details, which will ensure that Google believe that your pages are written by an expert. The last one is authority, or rather the third one, should I say, is authority. This is to do with the off-page signals, which in this case are backlinks. As we noticed in before, that the changes are going to say this is a less important area in 2024, but it is still important. So do ensure you have some backlinks to a website. You may need a certain number to be identified as trustworthy by Google in that respect. And do use internal linking. This is very vital, and I've seen websites fail to be ranked because they haven't used it properly. So that's linking from one page of your website to another. Internal links, vital. And the last one we have here is trustworthiness, the T of EAT. This is to do with the way that you link out to documents on the web that support what you're saying. It could be statistics, whatever it is. It's a way of proving that your view is based upon fact. The same as you would do when you write a dissertation for a university. You have to have the citations to say where you got the information from. So it's very important to include those to make sure that Google trusts what it reads. Now, we do know that Google loves helpful websites. That's websites that help people solve a problem, find the right product, whatever. And basically, the whole thing is based upon they ask and you answer. A chap called Marcus Sheridan wrote a book on this subject, well worth a read. And basically, it's like it says on the can. They ask the questions and you provide the answers. And they're so easy to find. If you use something like also asked, it can come up with a list of questions based upon a particular key search phrase, phrase like search security guard, and then a whole lot of questions appear there, together with the answers that the best websites, according to people also ask, have provided. But you can do far better than that, and by so doing, you will not only prove to Google that you're trying to help, but you'll prove to your potential customers. And people just will always love people who help them. So what is the strategy for 2024 for SGE? The first thing I suggest is that anyone checks for the potential loss of traffic because of the loss of people also ask. Then find questions to answer to counter any loss, and do consider pillar-based marketing, which is really they ask you answer on speed. I'm happy to provide information for that if anyone who wants it. Do check the titles and meta descriptions on your website and include the information on the bio, on the author, give them some information about their biography where you can. Ensure your content is people-centric. In other words, it uses you and your, not we and I, and that it delivers real value, includes videos, uses emotional headings, this can improve conversions too, and covers the topic in a thorough, unique and timely way. Overall, make it better than what exists now. And by so doing, you'll cover those long tail keyword searches that can bring so much traffic into your website. Consider repurposing pages on your site that already have lots of traffic. Google Search Console will tell you that. And it'll also tell you what phrases you're being ranked for that potentially your positions aren't very good. And with a bit of tweaking, you can get those up as well. And because you're changing current content, Google already knows about it. It'll be looking back at it and seeing what's changed. Google loves to see content being repurposed. Another thing you can do is to concentrate Google's mind by no indexing any pages that aren't getting any traffic for some reason or another. Google Search Console will tell you which those are. Remove the ones that are simply not working from the index, not from your website, just no index them, and so Google will ignore them. And that'll mean that Google spends the crawl budget, the time it takes on your site, looking at the more interesting stuff, and that's better for you and for your users. I think it's going to be important to boost social media in 2024 regarding this brand awareness. So do consider talking to a social media expert here. And lastly, do not stop link building. Just build links with less fervour. And do bear in mind using the bio trick, which does mean you're building links to a particular page, a page on your website that consists shows the biographies of your important staff. So that's it for this survival strategy for 2024. I hope you found it interesting. I'll be pleased to provide more information if wanted. Thank you very much for looking.